4, 3, 2, 1. Green flag. Start of the formation.
The scene
lap.
is Spa-Francorchamps in the Ardennes Forest, and we're about to get racing again for the Ligier European Series. It's fair to say it was a difficult race to read earlier on today. There were numerous safety cars and various incidents, some of them actually behind safety cars, or at least involving cars looking to catch up a bit of time and catch up with the safety car trains, and not least in the JS2Rs, where some of the key championship runners, Haytham Caragiuli, Laurent Millara, came to grief. In Caragiuli's case, actually out of the race because he lost the car into the gravel trap at Stavelot and could not get the car back into the motor race. So it meant a different result than we'd become accustomed to, certainly in JSP4, because Julien Henrion had won every single race to that point. He'd also taken each of the pole positions available. He's on pole again today, so that's now 10 poles in a row, but it wasn't 9 wins in a row. Instead, a different race winner in the form of Nathan Biel, who was pushing like crazy rather Anthony Nara in the Pegasus racing car, I should say, together with his teammate Dimitri Engelbert. So a win for Pegasus number 17 for the first time this season. I wonder though, Graham Goodwin at dailysportscar.com, with the track drying, I don't think it's raining currently.
No.
Are we in store for a more expected race result? Let's give you the grid before you answer that question. 2:22.248 gave Julien Henrion a 10th pole position in a row. Smart driving is Andre Vajda starting alongside. Then it's Nathan Biel and Ronnie Valori on the second row. Alexandru Miria and Anthony Nara come next. Then Jacques Nicolet in the number 33 Ledus Arb car. The pole sitter in JS2R is Haytham Caragiuli for RLRM Sport, and he actually has the buffer zone of a further JSP4 behind him and the rest of the JS2R. So it's Nicola Neri to start the LR Motorsport number 3, ahead of second place in JS2R, Horst Felix Felbermayr, who had a spin at very high speed coming through Eau Rouge and Raidillon sequence of corners. Thankfully, he didn't hit anything on the way through, and he will start second of the JS2Rs, ahead of the two TM Evolution cars. The first of those to be started by Freddie Mononto, that's number 25, ahead of Alain Grand in number 11, another car that needed to be retrieved from the gravel in race 1. Laurent Piquet in the CTF Performance car won the earlier race today in JS2R together with his teammate Fabien Delaplace. Cedric Ultramer starts the Cool Racing car from 14th position and 6th within that division. And finally, Laurent Millara with, if not a repaired car, heavily swept out of gravel, one would hope.
Absolutely, as the car's forming up now with some big gaps beginning to close as to get towards the start line for this race, and visibly drier than it has been all day. We had a dry line for the first race, but this is a pretty steady shade of grey, isn't it, across the whole track surface. But we'll have to watch offline. There are bound to be damper patches here. So getting into an orderly fashion behind the Porsche leading car here. And just moments away, Johnny Palmer, from the anti-penultimate race start of this season.
And yeah, Nathan Biel with a shot in the arm from earlier on. Apologies, Anthony Nara making those couple of errors on the final lap. It all came to a crescendo at the first race of the day. Safety car was in, the clock read 0, but of course we then go for an extra racing lap. At the time, Nara was leading. He made an error into the first corner, which gave Julien Henrion 1 position. Then we had the change of lead, and Nathan Biel performing so strongly towards the end. So Julien Henrion tried as he might to get by, but eventually there was a different race winner, and Henrion looking to rectify that as quickly as he can in the very next race, ideally. Part 2 of Heat 5 for the season gets underway now on this 7-kilometre Spa-Francorchamps circuit, and again, question marks quite possibly as to where the cars were positioned as they came across the line. Then you need to be central down the grid hatchings. And is there going to be more carnage for the LR Motorsport car? Yes, it's going to leave La Source with damage on the rear, but looking ahead at the start of the race, Julien Henrion did manage to fend off the attentions of Andre Vajda and Nathan Biel in 3rd position, but there's definitely some rear right damage to Nicola Neri's car, LR Motorsport.
That looked to me to be contact with Freddie Mononto and the Team Evolution 25 car. Just how bad that damage is. The car is up to speed, is in the train, but side-to-side contact, as you quite rightly said, Johnny, to the right rear of the car. These are sturdy little machines. Keep an eye on his pace.
Nathan Biel with the bit between his teeth now after that victory earlier on today, trying to force a mistake from a Romanian driver, Andrei Vajda, in the smart driving car. Something's happened at turn 7, which is the third element of Le Combe corner, and it is Horst Felix Felbermayr in the gravel trap at the top of the circuit.
Yeah, and I was about to say, as you can see there to the right-hand side of the circuit, significantly more damp at the top of the hill here. If you've not been here to Spa-Francorchamps, difficult to really explain just how much elevation there is. It is extreme. You are climbing a very substantial hill to get to the top part of this circuit, and then tumbling down in this sector.
And although that's screamingly obvious from any camera angle of Eau Rouge and Raidillon, clearly that's massively uphill. But the uphill stretch doesn't actually cease until you get to Le Combe corner. So walking the Kemmel Straight, it's only when you actually either cycle or walk it, you realise quite how uphill that section of the track is as well. So we're going to go safety car, because Horst Felix Felbermayr's machine is too vulnerable in the gravel trap to driver's right, and that's actually out of the second element of Le Combe corner, the left-hander. Was there some contact? Again, there are question marks as to where the cars are on the grid hatchings, because Vajda's nowhere near them. Should be further over to the left.
Watch to the back here of the orange car. Big lock up there from Nathan Biel.
Yeah.
And that was...
Alain
You
Grande.
know what? The TM Evolution car was well alongside.
Yeah.
It was turned into by the LR car. I'm not sure which way you'd call that. He did leave a big gap to be filled, and the JS2R driver didn't need much of an excuse to actually have a look there through to take advantage, and the prototype turned in on him.
Well, when you're driving a JS2R, you are expecting a JSP4, the prototype, to be braking later than you, generally speaking. But Nicola Neri, bronze rated, wanting to take things easy into the first corner. That contact, in fact, the contact that involves Horst Felix Felbermayr and the 96 car of Laurent Piquet. Now, we didn't see that at the time, but that's happened at turn 7 and potentially caused this off for Felbermayr's car. So is, therefore, Laurent Piquet at fault, or is it Horst Felix Felbermayr who caused the contact? Without having seen that footage, it's impossible for us to tell, but thankfully Race Control have access to an awful lot more cameras than we do.
Also seems, by the way, the Monza Garage car did not start this race, so we're down to 14 runners here. So the Monza Garage 23 car has not completed a sector. So whatever happened, we've not seen that.
Good spot. So it suggests it wasn't even there right at the start. And I don't remember. I mean, Valori and George King's car got to the finish earlier on today.
We lost another couple of cars after incidents in practice yesterday. So a somewhat denuded grid, I'm afraid. Now, is that car in a state where it can be restarted? We're about to see. It's facing the wrong way. So, no, we're not.
Yeah, the only car that didn't make it into racing today, the 29 from Pegasus, so the sister car to number 17. But the number 4 Cool Racing car was damaged yesterday. That thankfully was repaired overnight, and Cedric Ultramare judged to be fit as well to take part in activities.
And he had a rough ride, didn't he, to the start of his race 1, but is out there and battling this time around. The car's just about to be pulled onto hard standing.
So we haven't had a message yet about the contact right at the start between car 3 and car 11, the 3 of LR Motorsport and the number 11 TM Evolution car. We know the start's under investigation, always get that message, but I just wonder whether there is some concern about where the car at the front of the second row, if you like, so outside of the front row, i.e. Andrei Vajda, if it's his car that's judged to be at fault, then everybody else is kind of following the direction of the 85. But if the 85 is not far enough over to the left, and we saw that was the case for Simone Riccitelli in the first race, there might be a 5-second penalty to be added to the pit stop time in due course. Remember, a mandatory pit stop that has to be done somewhere between the 27-minute marker and the 34th-minute marker into the race. So it opens 27 minutes into the race. It closes 24 minutes to go in the race.
Struggling to get this car back where it needs to be and looking not to get it bedded back down in the gravel trap, I'm afraid.
Yeah, so even more tricky to get that car out of the gravel trap, although marshals around this Spa-Francorchamps circuit are well versed in doing that, particularly with JS2Rs that do seem to struggle at the slower speeds and in the wetter conditions. Still don't think it's actually raining. If it is, it'll just be in the air, but no sustained rainfall. The bright yellow door mirrors of Horst Felix Felbermayr resplendent there. It's a great livery for the RLR M Sport car to be carrying, courtesy of the Felbermayr family. Just a real shame that that car, if it doesn't take any further part, at least it might be able to rejoin, but laps down. Also, the track being swept at Lecombe Corner, indicating quite a bit of gravel was brought onto the track surface as a result of that. Now, the other car that was involved, 96, might have been briefly in the gravel as well, I suppose, and brought more stones onto the track surface. Julien Henrion leading from André Vajda. Team Virage ahead of Smart Driving. Then Nathan Biel's M Racing car. Regarding the contact between 96 and 40, there will be no further action. So judged either as a racing incident or the fault of Felbermayr. And in that sense, it's self-policing.
Still struggling to get this car to a place of safety, aren't they? I think it's going to require a tow.
The rest of the field, though, filtering out of La Source corner, and they will, of course, well, most of them should be able to see the safety car at the head of the field with the lights still flashing. There's going to be at least one more lap, and I think possibly two more.
Yeah.
Although the Manitou, though, is in full force now.
It's going to the other side of the track, isn't it?
Yes. And there is sufficient time before the cars sweep through at the end of the Camel Straight to carry out that work.
That's now nice dust slicks going on that car.
Yes. So Laurent Piquet has communicated to the team that at least taking the rear wet weather tyres off this car and putting slicks on would be a good move. This is kind of similar to Nathan Biel changing tyres very early in the first race earlier on today.
Well, there's no better time to do it than under a safety car. He will, if he gets out quickly enough here, be allowed to close that gap. There, top of the Kemmel Straight as the nuts are going on the wheel. He's not that far back, is he?
The car's arriving at Lecombe just after Horst Felix Felbermayr's machine has been moved out of the way. The tractor that was initially called just trying to do its very best 360-degree turn in a confined space to be pointing in the right direction again.
Great, by the way, to see so many families here. They're doing all four. And said in race one, not centre lock wheels on this, so a wheel change is not the work of a mere moment.
Now, also, just keep my eye on whether we start to see some more sector times from Horst Felix Felbermayr, which give us an idea as to whether the car has rejoined, and more to the point, whether it's brought a load of gravel onto the track with it. 96 moving again. CTF Performance with a race win earlier today.
They've got to throw the dice here. They need to close a points gap to Hatem Caragiuli. I had a quick word with the young man after his whoopsie in race one. It's fair to say that he was pouring a whole lot of blame on himself. We had that conversation about just how tricky it was out there. It's terribly difficult when you're in a championship winning position and a mistake takes points from your grasp. Yeah. Oh, that was very nearly to the wall. That shows, doesn't it?
Well, especially when you're coming out on cold, slick tyres and you apply the throttle in what you think is a sensible area and very nearly cream it into a concrete barrier.
Safety car is in this lap, and the 96 car, by the way, just up at Les Combes at the moment, so a long way back. He's going to need to hustle here to close this gap more than he currently has.
Yeah, they don't, of course, the officials don't need to allow that car that has pitted under its own volition to catch up with the back of the safety car train, and wasn't given opportunity to do that.
He's up at Bruxelles at the moment as they complete the lap, so he's a long, long way back here. He's going to have to hope that those slick tyres provide an answer to the pace. Always presuming, by the way, these cars weren't on slick tyres to start with.
Well, yeah, we don't know that for a fact.
My guess would be that most of them would be, having seen the Michelin Le Mans Cup qualifying just ahead of them.
But in this championship, Michelin not producing different coloured sidewalls, so not easy for us to work out which cars are on slicks and which on wet weather tyres. Haitham Caragiuli with a DNF earlier on today. Likewise, Alain Grand and Mathieu Detry in the number 11 TM Evolution car. But the 11 car is very much in this race, running 5th at the moment, as now getting a very good run onto the Kemmel Straight is Nathan Biel, looking for a way by Romanian driver Andrei Vajda. And Vajda, not wanting to turn in on Nathan Biel, gives him the racing room, and Nathan Biel moves up to 2nd place as a result of that. Also pressurising Alexandru Miria was Anthony Nara there in the Pegasus Racing 17. No way by, though, into Les Combes that time.
Well, to give you an idea of the pace we're getting from that JS2R and its new slick tyres, he's got the fastest lap of the race, including the JSP4s at the moment. But that's cost him a chunk of time. No, apologies, that's Alain Grand that's done the fastest lap of the race. The
yes,
11 car.
Indeed, agreed. So the 11 car fastest so far, ahead of Laurent Piquet rejoining. Then the RLR M Sport car shown on our graphic, but that car a retirement.
Yeah.
And Monza Garage's machine is actually now shown in the pit, so clearly it just didn't exit the pit lane in time, perhaps. There was obviously a drama for Ronnie Valori / George King's machine late in the day, which is a real shame, because Monza Garage proved to be a quick car earlier today, and they managed to finish in 6th place in race 1. Meanwhile, just over 45 minutes to go, plus the extra lap. The pit lane window will open 27 minutes into the race.
So is Guillaume Henrion on the way with 47 minutes to run to the championship? A win here, I believe, will be enough, Johnny. Oh, big slide from the 44 car, went in way too hot.
And Anthony Nara read that perfectly, realised there was going to be a moment for the car in front, positioned his car well to avoid the carnage and gain the place as well. So Nara up a spot, Alexandru Miria with the mistake. Meantime, over the line, a clutch of JS2Rs all ganging up, and you can see just about the damage on the LR Motorsport car, which gains a position on 75, which is the JS2R leader, Haitham Caragiuli. So now nothing between Caragiuli and that chasing pack of Freddie Mononto, Cedric Ultramare and Laurent Millara.
That could be quite an engaging battle as things develop. Caragiuli needs to get his head down here, doesn't he? Look after his championship lead. Think about the road ahead, less about the cars behind. Test a character after a challenging race 1 to just get back into the groove, isn't it? And on a track that has still got real challenges offline, doesn't want to get into a position where he has to defend, because that's where the danger comes.
Guillaume Henrion with a new fastest lap of the race. He's also finding time on the very next lap as well. An absolute best Sector 1. Here's Caragiuli et al. So the TM Evolution car of Freddie Mononto, 2nd position. Then Cool Racing, Cedric Ultramare, ahead of M Racing's Laurent Millara. It was M Racing victorious in the JSP4s earlier today, and winning in JS2R, up as high as 5th overall, Fabien Delaplace and Laurent Piquet in the CTF Performance car.
Gillian Henrion here is just driving away here. Another second picked up in that middle sector. It's another purple sector for Henrion. And a clear track ahead of him. Long, long way before he's going to see traffic. So 2:27.692, the fastest lap of the race last time around. That's going to be beaten this time by the race leader.
Glorious sound these JSP falls make, particularly when being highly stressed through Blanchimont corner. Then the blip of the throttle as they change down the gears into turns 18 and 19 at the end of the lap, the bus stop chicane.
Yep, the JSP4s and the JS2Rs with the same 3.7 litre Ford engine, by the way, but in completely different states of tune. And both these classes getting a power boost for this season. And talking to 2 or 3 of the teams and a couple of the drivers, they just love these little cars, very raceable. The JSP4 here, based on the same chassis as the super successful, initially the JSP3, now the JSP320 Ligier. One of, if not the, most produced international race prototype of all time.
And then you've got the JS2Rs, which are far less dependent on the aerodynamic grip, looking for a race car GT derived that is good mechanically, so not necessarily at speed. They are fairly slippery, but nothing like the prototype and quicker version. Good run this time for Laurent Millara. Remember his trip into the gravel and a late spin earlier on today, but Millara, after a long look up the inside of Cedric Ultramare, thinks I'm not quite alongside, or Freddie Mononto that was, wasn't it? Yeah, 25, almost being overtaken, but the move wasn't on, so Millara slots back into line.
Yeah, these cars too, not just a power boost, but that rear wing, based on the LMP3 rear wing from Ligier. So I think pretty little cars, these. And Johnny, I know you've commentated on these cars, not just here in the Ligier European Series, but in their other life in endurance racing now. So they're becoming quite a common sight in international endurance racing across the world. Like the 24H series, where
Indeed, yeah.
a number of these cars racing with success.
So adaptable to a 12 or indeed a 24-hour race if necessary. Now 5 seconds will be added to the next pit stop for cars 17 and 85 for not respecting again the road positions.
Exactly what you said
at the start. I mean, particularly Vajda was way off the grid hatchings and sort of bridging the gap between the two, if you like, edging towards Gillian Henrion. And if you get a chance to revisit the start of that race, you'll see exactly what I mean. Henrion was perfect, wheel position.
And actually, Mononto is going to get 10 seconds added to his pit stop for not respecting instructions at the start. The same again. And that was the car, wasn't it, involved in the incident with the LR racing car.
Yeah, indeed.
The LR Motorsport car, rather.
So those penalties can all be soaked up during the next pit stop rather than having to be tacked on to the race time by the end of it. But it does mean that the teams have even more to think about now during their pit stop. They will know how long it takes their car to leave the working bay immediately outside their garage to pit lane exit road, or at least where the timing loop is. And they'll have to remember to set those cars off. Well, they'll probably do the penalty first before anybody touches the car. Then the mandated pit stop will begin.
Caragiuli has not gapped this field, has he? He's still under pressure from Cedric Ultramar, but soaking it up nicely at the moment. Gillian Henrion, by the meanwhile, 5.3 seconds ahead and pulling away in the lead of this race. It's the rather scarred number 3 car, that's of Nicola Neri, dropping back a bit from the JSP4 field. Oh, that was a touch side to side.
So that'll send Freddie Mononto to the escape road. There are now tyre bales on this route as well to slow you down even more.
I would judge that as a fault. That was a mistake, but that could have been disastrous.
And a mistake by what, Millara? Or...
Yes, 100%.
Okay,
Millara appeared from the view we got under braking just to kind of move to his left to impact the other car, forcing it off track. Yeah. I've zero doubt that was not intentional, but an unforced error it most certainly was, and it resulted in contact with the car, putting him in a place of danger.
Yes. Freddie Mononto grateful that there was a runoff route, at least, kind of similar to the second chicane at Monza, whereby as soon as you have dived left and taken to that escape route, you have to then complete it by threading your way through 2 sets of tyre stacks, and then there's a kind of downhill, very narrow road which sees you rejoin just before the final element of Les Combes corner. And the tyre bales should mean that you've shaved off enough speed to actually make the right-hand corner, together with not taking an advantage, of course. Freddie Mononto, not his fault, we think, but nevertheless needed to take that route in order to safely rejoin. Oh, big spin from 3rd position for Anthony Nara, from 4th position rather, and as he kept it out of the tyres, not quite, but that could have been a heck of a lot worse than it turned out to be, Graham.
Dear me. Well, if he's got an in-car camera, that's one going on YouTube, isn't it? So, I mean, unlucky for it to happen, so lucky keeping out the barriers.
Well, the same bit of scenery he will have seen 2 or maybe 3 times as he swings round and round and round and just hopes for the whole thing to stop spinning, and sooner rather than later. The rear and rather vulnerable tail end of these JSP4s made contact with the barrier. He has now escaped the scene, but that's not a nice place to be sitting. One of the fastest parts of the racetrack, over the top of Raidillon.
Still smoke from the tyre.
Tortured Michelin tyres. It will have been heavily stressed. Let's hope everyone has seen him here. There will be yellow flags being displayed as well as the JS2R battle works its way by.
Safety car again.
Yeah. Well, that was a question of Lee allowing the time for Anthony Nara to restart if he could get the Pegasus Racing car rumbling again. But you don't want to leave a car there for too long from a race control point of view.
Watch this again. Over the...
It was the curb that caused the spin, I think. It just unsettled the car, yeah.
Yeah, and then round he went, was that 3 times? And then just a kiss with the barrier at the rear of the car. 1. Lucky the thing didn't grip again.
And around for 2.5 turns, I reckon it was, with Pike. And thankfully, he managed to just scamper away from the most vulnerable area, which would have been at 90 degrees to the direction of travel and up to the high side, but has something seized now on that car because the doors are opening both left and right. And unfortunately for Anthony Nara, he is clambering out of that car. Wants to make sure it's not going to roll backwards towards the scene of Raidillon, slaps the Armco barrier in frustration because they were potentially on for a very good result again, running in 4th position at the time behind Julien Henrion, Biel and Vajda. But it'll be a DNF now, and unfortunately no drive whatsoever in the second race of the day for Dimitri Engelbert. This is how much it means for these drivers, though, today. Anthony Nara, head in hands at the top of Raidillon.
Yeah, he'd have felt he had a good result on the cards there. And who knows what else is on the line at this stage. Just watch this one again. Comes up over the curbs, corrects, overcorrects, and around it goes. And we can be very lucky, as I said a little earlier, Johnny, that car did not grip up. He did well to just keep his feet off the power there, because how many times have we seen disastrous incidents in exactly that situation? There is a glittering list of international race drivers in sports car racing that know the consequences of an error like that going far, far worse.
It actually, despite being spinning constantly, kept a very true line through the whole thing. And that's also testament to the research that I'm sure the teams here at Spa-Francorchamps have done over the years to work out where generally race cars will head for. And there's still a great deal of runoff there. There's obviously the tyre wall to attempt to contain cars, because the bit you don't see, the other side of that tyre wall, is there's a significant drop down towards the paddock. So we don't want cars disappearing, you know, through Armco barriers into the trees and then downward. So the car was contained well, and thankfully damage was limited, but whatever has happened in that incident, something is frozen solid, and it means he cannot continue in the race.
Well, I'm sure he's got some 4 Richlands on that look like thrubbly bits now, without a shadow of doubt. The one thing that has allowed, by the way, if I'm right, is, yes, Freddie Molento, of course, is closed up, and so whatever did happen at Les Combes, the gap has closed back up, albeit he's lost a position. That's a distraught young man, isn't it?
Yeah. And, I mean, all he's got right now is his own thoughts and the sound of race cars that are still in this competition. The marshal's calling him forward after a moment of reflection. That is to aid with the recovery of the Pegasus racing car. But Anthony Nara, who is certainly in a season of his highest level of motorsport, 2022, done nothing previously of this international level, let us say. A couple of podiums already this year. The year started so well, actually. A second place result at Le Castellet, and then again at Imola the next race.
Talking about the emotion on display there, Johnny, and I made a quick comment just at the start of that incident. What I'm talking about there is we don't know just exactly what this race means to him moving forward. What was on the line, what deals have been considered, what he needed to do here to take a next step.
Yeah.
And you can tell from the emotion involved there that it's more than just the incident in the moment, without a shadow of a doubt. And racing would be nothing without emotion, nothing at all. So it's sad to see it, but it's good to see that it means something.
Entirely. And yeah, I mean, when you get yourself psyched up, particularly for an opening stint rather than a secondary stint, which Anthony Nara did earlier on today, he knew it was going to be fairly harem-scarum stuff with a changeable track surface. And well, it's arguable which is the more difficult stint to do, whether you're plugged into the car halfway through where you don't get chance to assess the conditions, or when you're given the responsibility of a race start. And Nara was doing a superb job, silver rated, by the way, by the FIA. And although, therefore, he's relatively inexperienced in motorsport, clearly has shown some good speed to this point, with a couple of podiums which would echo those thoughts.
Unluckiest man, by the way, on the track. We're just looking at briefly there, the second car in the train is Laurent Pigret, because his gamble is not going to pay off. The gamble to change tyres meant that he's fallen into the clutches and was passed by the race leader before the safety car, which means he's not going to be on the lead lap.
Yeah.
So that's utter disaster for another car that was in championship contention in JS2R. That may well be it for the 96 car. They threw the dice, and on this occasion it really has not gone their way.
The pit lane, by the way, is open now. No rule in the Ligier European Series that closes the pit lane during a safety car, so surely most of these are all going to dive in now. This is the opportune point to make a pit stop whilst the safety car is out, because you stand to lose as little damage as possible in terms of your race time.
It's a very lonely safety car right now. There is literally nobody behind it. Car 69 will have 15 seconds added to the end of the race for causing a collision. So that's one to be taken into account when we get back racing. 15 seconds for causing the collision with car 25 at Les Combes.
17 still being recovered. Remember, there are variables to think about as far as minimum pit stop reference times are concerned. You don't do your pit stop as quickly as possible. It's all dictated by that minimum run through the pits from timing loop in to timing loop out. And as a silver-only lineup, Julien Henrion is a solo driver, and as we discovered earlier on today, he has to take a slightly longer pit stop because of that. So we will see Julien Henrion lose some time on those around him in the race.
A minute longer last time. So, you know, if you're in a part of the circuit here where you've not got coverage from the tunnel, all of a sudden, well, in fact, what you've got is the safety car waiting for the field. It's gone very, very quiet all of a sudden.
Yeah. But rather than spend even more fuel from that Porsche, then might as well just hold it up and allow everybody to do their pit stop and then come out of pit lane. The flatbed is now moving with car 17 strapped to it, Anthony Nara.
We're going to see this instant now between 69 and 25. Look at the language of the 69 car to the inside. Moved to the side, didn't he? It took the space. There was no way.
Now, Millara is half a car ahead, so he will say it was my corner, but you can't change lines like that and expect the car alongside you to just evaporate.
Now, here you go. Better news for the 96.
Yes. Well, a quick pit stop. Fabien Delaplace will have, I'm sure, taken the car over and has done from Laurent Biquet. And this will be the first car then around the corner. No, there was a few more out before this, I think. Will it be the first car to emerge?
No, first car out is 96. Then they come.
Therefore, the first car to see the safety car just the other side of the kink onto the Kemmel Straight.
Now, he won't be the leader, so he may well be waved by.
Good point.
In which case, he gets that lap. So leader, I think, is going to be the 44 car. It is Alexandre Mireille.
So, yeah, Mireille,
despite a pit stop penalty,
ahead of Erwin Creed. This car slightly longer on pit road as well. Alain Grand that he shares with Dimitri Detry. Now, that shouldn't be longer, actually, because Grand's a bronze and Detry silver.
So, change for the leader overall. Change the leader in JS 2R. With Laurent Millara emerging fourth overall here. This will sort itself out, of course, when we go back to green flag running. Team Evolution in the hands of Bruno Chaudet, second in JS2R, and Hayton Caragiuli drops to third. That's another pit stop penalty for a silver rank driver, is it not?
Yes, should be. So at the moment, the safety car has in effect picked up the wrong car, but it didn't have any choice in that matter because it was waiting on the Kemmel Straight for everybody to rejoin after their mandatory pit stops. First car to emerge, as we've said, the 96, which isn't the overall race leader. The overall race leader sits behind, which is Alexandre Mireille for smart driving. So will the officials wave by car 96 to effectively give it that lap back again? The problem is, even if Fabien Delaplace is waved through, he's not, I don't think, going to have the chance to catch the time up again. And in fact, no, they're not going to wave that car through because the safety car lights are off now, and we will be restarting the race effectively with Fabien Delaplace, albeit not by full definition, but as near as, damn it, a full lap down on Mireille.
So things to watch here as we watch just where did Team Farage go. Leon Rion out in 6th place. And a similar chase, but with more than one lap this time to close that gap.
Yeah.
But the other one to watch, if you're watching this with timing and scoring on tap, is the 69 car. Fourth overall, leads JS2R on the road, but has 15 seconds to add to that time. So once we get back under green flag running, start to see what happens with that gap, and away we go.
So race leader is the 44 car, second on the road, remember, behind the leading on the road JS2R car of Fabien Delaplace, and Delaplace, I'm sure, will stay well off the racing line to allow Alexandre Mireille through in the smart driving car. Erwin Creed is next in the colours of Les Deux Alpes in number 33, and then it's Nathan Biel, the M Racing blue, green and white car, number 53, running their third position, but with pace potentially to be quicker than the two cars ahead.
And he'll need that if he's going to keep this title fight alive. He's got to hope that Henrion has a problem, and he needs to grab as many points as he possibly can. And look at Henrion in the background going past the LR car and closing in on that JS2R, the 96 car that's a lap down. He's going to be in a hurry to get by. He's going to try and do that until Lecom does so. So he's up into 4th place already, and we're only through 3 quarters of this lap.
Making short work of 19-year-old Italian Simone Riccitelli, who is silver rated, by the way. He's even raced in the DTM Trophy last year, so certainly no slouch, Riccitelli. But his first race of Heat 5 earlier today did not start well. Contact on the exit of La Source corner, resulting in a spin and a puncture for the Italian, and then being told he was out of position at the start as well. That was definitely a race to forget for LR Motorsport. Going slightly better in this one, though, and Riccitelli's just set that car's personal best time through Sector 1, but he did lose a place to Julien Henrion And Henrion, having won every single race bar one so far this season, is on course potentially to perform well in this one as well. But he's got 3 cars to attempt to overtake. So let's see whether there's enough time left on the clock. 25 minutes plus an extra lap still to go. Track conditions much better than they were for these cars earlier this morning.
So, yeah, under 25 minutes remaining. It's the battle between the 25 and the 4. This is for 3rd position on the road, effectively 2nd position, with the 15-second penalty for the car 2 positions ahead of this battle. Bruno Chaudet trying to fend off the very close attentions of Cedric Ontremar. Looks to the inside. Has he got that line? I think he has, you know. Cracking move, and he's done it.
Very impressive indeed. And
not
that was
a move you see very often,
wasn't it? Good understanding from both, because the drama is that the car on the high side loses grip entirely, ends up in a spin, and then might come back and end up T-boning you. Side by side now for the head of the order. This is Erwin Creed, full attack mode. Left of your picture, Creed in 33, Alexandre Mireia in 44. Oh, there was contact at Eau Rouge, and look at the 53 car. He might be able to pick up all the places heading his way. Nathan Biel positions his car first of all to the right, then to the left. Bear in mind, he's also got to defend from Julien Henrion at the same time, though, in the Virage colours, the yellow and orange. So 4 cars absolutely together. Erwin Creed did get the race lead, and now Nathan Biel trying to be as late on the brakes as he dares to snatch 2nd position, and will get it.
Great stuff from Biel there. Heads up stuff. Wants to see where Henrion was. The championship is right there. Henrion goes by him. We're done.
Yeah. So he needed to keep the Team Virage car behind him, at the same time wanted to put cars between him and the 19-year-old from Nancy, Julien Henrion. And in fact, both boxes ticked at the same time there for Nathan Biel. He's already taken a race win today, his first of the season, and wants to try and keep Julien Henrion as far away as he can, but he can't prevent Henrion from slipping up the inside there of Mireia to bag 3rd position into Pouhon. Again, neat and tidy driving from the French teenager.
Yeah, it was, before we forget, by the way, a really gutsy overtake from Erwin Creed. There was contact there. We didn't see where the debris came from. My guess would be the rear of Creed's car. Oh, and off at high speed there for the 33 car. Not 33 car, my apologies.
44. So that was Mireia exploring the scenery on the exit of Pouhon.
That would have given him quite a moment, wouldn't it?
Just a little. And what a story for Mireia, leading at the start of the lap, and then Erwin Creed pulls off a great overtake, although it was fully audacious at Eau Rouge. And since then, the Romanian has just been going backwards, unfortunately for him.
Henrion on Biel.
No way by there at the bus stop chicane, but definitely starting to turn the screw. Julien Henrion.
And potential bad news coming for 53 as well, with their pit stop under investigation as it is for the new 4th place car, the LR Motorsport car, to the outside. Henrion looking to take this place. I think he's done it, you know.
This would be superb if he can make it stick. Needs to be careful
He's
to stay
done it
within the track limits, and he goes across the nose of Nathan Biel. And Biel must be thinking, what on earth do I need to do against this kid? 4 years his junior, but Julien Henrion has been the standout driver all season in the JSP4 category within Ligier European Series. And once again, Julien Henrion continues to impress.
And you know what? He could get the lead here. He got a great run through Raidillon. He's got the toe. He's coming to the inside of Erwin Creed into the braking zone. He's going to... No, not quite there. Not quite there. I thought he got it.
Well, the danger is, and I know he wants to get as far away from Nathan Biel as possible, he might be able to do it through the second part of Le Combe.
Astonishing.
Yeah, and now Erwin Creed has to be so careful as he drifts from one side of the road to the other not to clean out Nathan Biel. Disaster averted there, but Henrion, not to be outdone, you know, he realised the game was up for the first time into Le Combe, but he gets him at the very next opportunity. Now we're going to go full course yellow, perhaps because of some debris on the racetrack.
15 seconds.
So 15 seconds time, and did the contact between
10,
Erwin Creed
9,
and
8,
Mireia leave
7,
debris right in the middle of the track at Eau Rouge,
5,
I fear?
4, 3.
Here's the countdown into a full course yellow, but it should be quite a quick one, I would think.
Full course yellow is deployed.
20 minutes left on the clock, plus an extra lap. A chance to reassess things, therefore, and maybe do a quick sweep of the circuit.
Just a moment while we're under full course yellow about Guillaume Henrion. In whatever company, to dominate in the way that he has is quite extraordinary. He's one race short at the moment of a full sweep for this season, and he was extremely unlucky this morning. There is like a rear end plate, doesn't it? And I think that is from Erwin Creed's car. But beyond that, it's not just about the pace, it's about the way he races. Yep. We saw there in a single lap 2 epic overtaking manoeuvres.
15 seconds.
So a very quick full course yellow, in fact, literally to retrieve that end plate. And as soon as a marshal had located that, brave enough to run into the middle of the track to retrieve it and pull it out, then we can go back to racing probably after only about a minute and a half of full course yellow. Gaps should all remain the same. Gillian Henrion leading just about from Erwin Creed, ahead of Nathan Biel. That's your top 3. And here is the countdown out of the full course yellow.
4, 3, 2, 1. Green flag. Full course yellow removed.
And Henrion away and clear. Quite a privilege to watch that kind of dominance. Yeah. You know, at times you could say it makes it boring, the same person is winning, but you've got to look at how it's done. You've got to look at what's involved here in delivering these results, and he's done it with pace, he's done it with control, and when his back's been to the wall with circumstances against him, pretty typically he's had that mix of precision and aggression that makes racing exciting.
Yep. And yeah, it's learning to win in several different ways, and if you can't win, make sure you at least finish on the podium. Meantime, the 69 car being overtaken.
Caragiuli.
Yeah, Caragiuli to the race lead. This happened a couple of moments ago, but the Kuwaiti driver, number 75 for RLR M Sport, back to the sharp end, and Caragiuli, though not as dominant as Gillian Henrion in the JS2R category, has nevertheless picked up a lot of points this season and came to this event leading by, what was it, near enough 80-odd points. Yeah,
obviously that took a bit of a hit in race 1, but boy is he kind of bounced back here. It's a 6-second stop-go penalty for car 53 for not respecting the minimum pit stop time, and a 1-second stop-go for car 3. So that is the 2nd and 4th place cars. I think that's just sealed the title for Guillaume Henrion.
Actually, it wasn't quite as many as 80-odd points. The RLR M Sport car of Haitham Caragiuli at the start of the weekend had 57-point lead, in fact, with 100 still available. Yeah, RLR M Sports car, at least the Caragiuli version, leading again from Laurent Millara, and it's namely the 69 car that he wants to be outscoring.
Well, remember, that's still going to have 15 seconds added to it, so he's not leading the Laurent Millara car. He's leading the Cedric Aldremar car. In fact, the Laurent Millara car, at the moment, on the time penalty, will finish no better than 4th.
Okay. Well, it's small amounts of points that Haitham Caragiuli is giving up. It needs to be more significant for those chasing down.
They need to beat him, is what it comes down to.
And that's exactly what the 96 car did earlier on today.
That was the conversation with Haitham between the 2 races, was effectively he beat himself. And that was why why he was beating himself up. He knows all he has to do is not be overtaken by his closest rivals. He's got that. Oh, there's 2 cars off there.
Riccitelli was one, and I think Andre Vajda, almost in sympathy, went off as well. They were circulating at very close quarters, so the number 3 LR Motorsport car overcooking things into the bus stop chicane, and also taking to the escape road Vajda in 85. Meanwhile, what happened to Erwin Creed? No, it was right behind him, in fact, the 2 cars we were talking about.
I think you're right, it was in sympathy. But to show the difference it makes, by the way, Vajda, with that 3rd sector and cutting the corner, set the fastest 3rd sector of the race. So there was advantage to be drawn there. That's why track limits are important. Beyond the safety point, is there was a competitive advantage to be taken if that's not acted against. Caragiuli coming through with Millara. This is the number 3 car coming down pit lane for its drive-through penalty.
Yes. All the mandatory stops should have been completed by this point. Remember, everybody pitted on the same lap because the safety car was out.
Should say, by the way, Nathan Biel up to second ahead of Owen Creed. But he will lose that second place because he too has got to make a drive-through penalty.
Through the kink onto the Kemmel Straight will go the leading duo on the road between Haitham Caragiuli and Laurent Millara then. Third position, Cedric Ultramare for Cool Racing, much better than his earlier race during Heat 5 of the Ligier European Series when it was a DNF, sadly, for Ultramare and the Swiss squad Cool Racing, who we'll be seeing later on in the weekend as well. Down into Bruxelles. Nothing between these two cars on the road.
So Millara trying to put the young man under pressure, isn't he? This is a testing time as well. Caragiuli will have his mind on this race, but if his mind on the championship as well. These are the moments where you show what you've learned as a racing driver. Consistency is important right now. Keep to your line. Don't show a mistake and allow the driver behind an opportunity that he might decide he wants to take. At the moment, pretty ironclad run from Caragiuli, if anything, pulling away a little here. Henrion, by the way, is pulling away at the head of this race. And I think, unless he's terrifically unlucky, in the next 15 minutes, Johnny Palmer, we're going to be talking about this young man as the 2022 champion.
Yeah, and it would be well and truly deserved to scoop that all up, have the I's dotted and the T's crossed with around a heat, I should say, to spare. Each of the venues we go to and the 2 races involved at each labelled as a heat by the Ligier European Series, so we will go through a total of 6 of them through the course of the year. And Henrion had been the only name at the top of the results charts for the first 4 heats. So it could be another race win here at Spa-Francorchamps. 9 out of 10, that would be. A bit more time to go, though, before it is secured. 15 laps done for the JS2Rs. Caragiuli ahead on the road of Laurent Millara. And a clear road in front of them as they exit La Source this time.
So for Millara, he's going to want to keep his pace up to try to edge away from the cars behind. So there's the problem of having Caragiuli in front of him. There's a problem that behind he needs 15 seconds.
Yep.
Well, as you can see, he's not got it. And he's got 12 minutes and 1 lap to make that difference. And at the moment, it doesn't look as if that's going to be the case. These 4 cars have been pretty much together since we went back to green flag racing.
Yeah, so an idea perhaps of some ground being made up, relatively speaking, to Haitham Caragiuli's pace. Clearly, Caragiuli has been the class of the field in the early stages. LR Motorsports cars off the road again. Simone Riccitelli.
Facing the wrong way here.
Yeah, that's coming out of Bruxelles, isn't it? So just about half facing the right way, but now he's up against the Armco barrier.
Where do you go from here? That's the problem.
These cars deliberately don't have much steering lock, and he knows he's not going to clear the Armco barrier if he continues forward. I can see this being another safety car.
Quite possibly, because he's not, even if he does find reverse, he's got no line of sight for oncoming traffic.
It's the battle of the third. Alexandru Vajda, I should say, Andre Vajda, looking for a way by Erwin Creed for the final step on the podium. No way by into the bus stop chicane, but Erwin Creed not the quicker of these 2 cars, as I read it. But Vajda looking for a way by. He has reversed a little bit further up the hill.
He's made it back. So
terrific driving.
So what happened here? Yeah, the rear end just got away from him, didn't it?
Yeah, he was away off the apex, car width or so. Not much grip out there. Cooler racetrack as well.
It's not been a great day for them, has it, at LR Motorsport? It's been a tricky one.
Anyway, good recovery in that he was able to reverse a couple of inches to allow him the steering lock required to rejoin the race. Creed again under pressure from Vajda. Vajda later on the brakes, surely up the inside at Lecombe and gets third position.
He gets second position because Nathan Biel has just made his drive-through penalty. So it's second and third, this pair now. What can Nathan Biel do about closing that gap? It's quite a way back. Pit stop for Biel has cost him what? Morea's gone through into fourth. Biel is back on track. He's not yet cleared the first sector. Does so now, and it's cost him well over 30 seconds. And that's end of championship run for Nathan Biel.
Yeah. And he gave it absolutely everything, particularly with the race win earlier on today. But when you are dicing with your championship rival, door handle to door handle has been the case in this particular race, and then still can't hold him back. Sometimes you just have to hold your hands up and say, this guy on this day has been quicker than me. And it's also testament to Team Virage as well, and their ability to set up a car to be comfortable in the hands of Julien Henrion. Championship has been fought by two solo drivers through the course of 2022. Henrion, who started to set the world alight in the very early stages of the year with a couple of wins at Le Castellet, and Nathan Biel, even though he was relatively close to Henrion in the early stages, just couldn't get the breaks, and crucially couldn't get the 25 points hauls for those race wins.
Indeed. So 8.5 minutes to go plus the extra lap. Haytham Caragiuli still sits ahead of Laurent Millara. Haytham looking to head towards another great result. Julien Henrion, meanwhile, is pulling away from the field in the lead. 11 seconds to the good now. Caragiuli driving a very controlled race here.
Yeah, not crumbling to the pressure offered by Laurent Millara. There will be an element, I'm sure, of Millara knowing that he's got the penalty to think about as well. So just edging away from Haytham Caragiuli, but Caragiuli has been probably getting faster and faster with every round. I think one or two others who couldn't take the fight to the Kuwaiti have found some pace through the course of the season, but it's not been at a significant amount to affect Caragiuli's route to a title. He's still only 18 years old.
Yep.
Season in Ginetta Juniors in the UK in 2019. He then did some Ginetta Challenge racing 2 years on from that. His early career affected, like so many others of his age, by the COVID pandemic. But first international motorsport this year with the Ligier European Series, and it's going to be exciting to see where the young Kuwaiti might go after this. But
impressive. I know the team RLRM Sport, of course, they've got skin in the game in both the Michelin Le Mans Cup and the European Le Mans Series. Be interested to see whether or not something else appears for him in future years, whether or not his track is going to be with sports car racing and on this package. I hope so, because he's been a real plus on this series. Great to see young talent emerging.
Down the dip at Lecombe corner will go Caragiuli and the chasing Laurent Millara. Cedric Outremer just out of frame now, though. So again, testament to the pace that both Haytham and Laurent have been showing during this second stint for each of them. Again, no driver change, in fact, for the top three. All staying at the wheel, entered as single driver entries. Pressure still on for Cedric Outremer, though, in the background, because Bruno Chaudet upping the ante a little bit for TM Evolution. There is a chance that that place will change by the checkered flag.
Back with Julien Henrion, under 6 minutes plus the lap to go, and he's stretching the lead. Over 14 seconds now, puts in the fastest lap of the race, a 2:24.899. That's, what, 3.5 seconds quicker than his nearest pursuer. And this is looking like a celebration run. There'll be yet another winner's trophy at the end of this race if things go the way they currently stand, and a bigger trophy still that will come to him after the races at Portimao, but confirmed really here that he's going to be in an insurmountable position. Already was the case, but the drive-through for Nathan Bielo is pushing hard, trying to catch the cars ahead of him, but it's not going to be enough to take the win he needed. And with possibly some poor luck from the man we were watching just a moment ago, to take this title to the final 2 rounds in Portugal. Caragiuli, meanwhile, under 5 minutes, as the 2 cars behind him battle away for his squirrely moments there for Bruno Chaudet. Some more debris there.
That's slightly concerning, because it does appear to be right on the racing line at La Source corner. I'm sure debris flag, the yellow and red stripes, will be displayed on the approach to that to warn these JS2R drivers that there's something to be wary of. Could very easily cause a puncture that. Still no change between Ultramare and Chaudet, but Bruno Chaudet certainly trying every which way to get by. To no avail just yet. It's a bronze-rated driver, Bruno Chaudet, who last competed in the Ligier European Series in 2020, prior to this season, but he's done pretty much every race meeting. Yes, he has done every single race meeting to this point, so mightily experienced, although sat out last year. Julien Henrion now focused on picking off a few of the tail enders.
Well, this should be his last traffic with under 4 minutes to go. Plus that final lap, Johnny. The next target on track for him in terms of traffic is up at Les Combes, so that's not going to happen in 5 minutes. So he should have now a clear track to the end. Frankly, the 2 things can stop him now. One is bad mechanical luck, the other one is weather.
Yes, and we haven't seen any of the latter through the course of this race, at least. The first one of the day majorly affected by precipitation and not evenly distributed around the racetrack either. Side by side in the background, I think that was Chaudet ahead of Cedric Ultramare. Confirm that in a moment, but it was the more black of the 2 cars that was marginally ahead. Car 25, I think, is the first to emerge on the exit of Pouhon, having pulled off a manoeuvre on the Cool Racing car. Let's confirm that.
That's Caragiuli.
Yeah, so Caragiuli ahead of Milara, but behind, I'm pretty sure it's the 25 now, ahead of car 4, but we'll...
Well, but it looks as if the 3 car is involved in that battle now. Something's happened to 25. Bruno Chaudet has dropped right back.
Right, so, OK, I was obviously misreading the situation, maybe for the race lead, as you suggested. So it's definitely Caragiuli ahead of Milara as they swing right and left through this final sequence of corners of the lap, but we've still got a couple of minutes still to go. Now, what about the next duo?
So what's that? Oh, that's the 96. That's the 96 that's a lap down. That's why.
OK,
so
and then, that's Ultramare. Yeah,
yes.
OK. So it's Ultramare lapping the 96.
So it wasn't Chaudet,
which appeared to,
last time
my
around.
eyes, to be Chaudet having got by, but it wasn't. But apologies. So the top 3 remain the same, and Cedric Ultramare for Cool Racing comfortably ahead of Bruno Chaudet, as you've said, because Chaudet lost ground in the last few laps. 2:41.9 as he crosses the line, and it was the CTF Performance Fabien Delaplace car actually in 6th position. So Ultramare at least has lost the distraction of the CTF Performance car now and can focus on these 2 cars in front, thinking about going 2 abreast into Les Combes corner. Rain light still flashing on the rear of Laurent Milara's car.
You don't want, knowing you've got a 15-second penalty, you do not want to be messing with the race leader here.
Yeah.
You know, yes, if there's a clean pass available, but other than that, effectively his competitive races run. Where would he finish up here? Just looking, he will finish 3rd at this point. He will lose just 1 place. Because with Bruno Chaudet dropping back, he's dropped back at such a rate that at the moment, that 15-second gap will lose him just the 1 place. Julien Henrion, by the way, on his penultimate lap now, 45 seconds to go on the clock, plus the extra lap. So this lap and 1 more. And he is away and clear. 20 seconds to the good. An absolutely clear track ahead of him. He may...
behind him, in fact. He had the full length of the Kemmel Straight, and that wasn't even back to the next JSP4.
Yep, he may catch the 25 car. which is Bruno Chadet's car.
Through Bruxelles will go Henrion for the penultimate time then. Ondřej Vajda second, but 21 seconds further back, and certainly not troubling the race leader and the runaway championship leader down in towards Pouhon. And this race is going much more like Julien Henrion had hoped race one would go, through no real fault of his own, just one of those peculiar results. But even when you get a peculiar race, Henrion still finished second and mopped up 18 points in the process, so it hasn't derailed his efforts at all. In fact, over the line will go the JS2R leaders, and Haytham Caragiuli still comfortably ahead of Laurent Millara. Yes, Millara is constantly in the door mirrors, but we'll have an extra penalty added to his time after the race.
Caragiuli has pulled out a few tenths there. It will give him a more comfortable time on the final 2 laps of his race. Well, it's 16. 16 now coming down towards the bus stop for the next and last time. Cross the line in just a few moments' time, with the clock having run down with just that extra lap to go. Race and the championship will be in his hands. It'll be quite a moment for the young man.
Effectively getting the last lap board, this time across the start-finish line then. One more tour of the 7,004-metre Spa-Francorchamps circuit, and he can almost afford to relax now. 24 seconds in the back pocket compared to Smart Driving's Ondřej Vajda. And Vajda's not his nearest championship rival anyway. That is, in fact, Nathan Biel, who runs 5th and is therefore only going to score 10 points in this. Compare that to Henrion's 25.
Biel could get 4th. He is close enough and closing to Alexandre Maria, who's struggling a little for ultimate pace as we count down the seconds in this race. There's no more counting down seconds. It's just this last lap, isn't it? So the 53 car is almost with the 44. That would be 4th, but it won't be enough.
So he came here with a 68-point advantage, did Julien Henrion. That was lessened slightly by 7 points, so we'll have gone back to 61.
61 plus 25.
Plus
86,
15.
86 less 12 is well enough for the 50 points that's available at the last race.
Yeah. So
And I have to say, correctly so, he's been dominant. He's been absolutely dominant this season. There's no getting away from the fact this is the talent of that class. Here comes Caragiuli to start what will be his last lap. Again, Ultramar is closer. Sorry, Millara is closer, but Ultramar is with him now. So now, Millara under pressure on this last lap for the first time.
And they're all going to be overtaken by Simone Riccitelli, who's still carrying the damage on the rear right corner after that damage right at the start at turn 1. A bit more falls off the LR Motorsport JSP4, I think. Slightly better situation for Laurent Millara because he's now positioned the LMP3 to be between him and Cedric Ultramar.
Here though
is the champion-elect, because Julien Henrion, with a squirm and a slide, knows he's done all that is necessary to take the 2022 Ligier European Series title for JSP4, at least provisionally, because our points charts indicate that he now has an unassailable lead. When you think about only 50 points being available still at Portimao in 3 weeks' time, he's north of that and has done all the hard work. A trying first race of the day that did not go to plan as far as he was concerned, but he's put that right in race 2. Ondřej Vajda will finish second for Smart Driving in the 85 car, and pretty close behind Erwin Creed for Les Deux Sabres, the car he shares with Jacques Nicolet, number 33. We're now waiting for the JS2R runners to complete their race. They're a couple of kilometres behind, though.
I think Alexandre Mireia is just going to get home ahead of Nathan Biel. He does. 0.7 of a second the difference. Looks to me to be Haytham Caragiuli heading to... How many race wins have we seen from the young Kuwaiti? this season?
Yeah, good question. Let me just check the right sheet for that.
It's going to be another.
1, 2, 3, 4 so far. Didn't win earlier on because it was a retirement, so there'll be 5 wins from 10 races, a 50% record for the Kuwaiti driver.
Great stuff, and just a few turns to go, and he's not under pressure from behind, unlike Laurent Millara, who will lose this position in any case to the time penalty, and it's the only position he's going to lose. So that time penalty, 15 seconds to be added to the time of the 69 car for contact earlier on, with the 25 that, by the way, is already home in 4th.
So Haitham Caragiuli with the 57-point lead at the start of the weekend. A DNF, though, for part 1 of Heat 5 is completely reversed in part 2 because it's the full 25 points to Haitham Caragiuli, fending off Laurent Millara and Cedric Ultramar. But remember that that penalty will reverse those positions. Ultramar over the line, just ahead of Laurent Millara, but the penalty's now been installed by our timekeepers, Al Kamel, to put Laurent Millara those 15 seconds further back from the race winner. So RLR M Sport from Cool Racing, from M Racing, and then the 2 TM Evolution cars, Bruno Chaudet ahead of Mathieu Detry. It is a provisional championship, though, for Julien Henrion after 22 laps, winning by 28 seconds over André Vajda for smart driving. Team Virage taking the title. La Douce Arbe in 3rd for Erwin Creed and Jacques Nicolet. Then Alexandre Miria. Nathan Biel in 5th position, not the result he would have wanted. Simone Riccitelli and Nicola Neri complete the top 6 JSP4s into GS2R, and it is a win again for Haitham Caragiuli, his 5th of the year from 10 races. Cedric Ultramar 3rd across on the road, but inheriting 2nd position because of Laurent Millara's 15-second post-race penalty. Bruno Chaudet, Freddie Mononto completing the top 4 ahead of the sister car of TM Evolution. You were about to say, Graham?
I don't think Caragiuli is very far away from a championship win here. I'm struggling to actually get the full points together, but he's going to go in a dominant position to Portimao, and what's been a great season for him too.
If not already sealed. My thanks to Graham Goodwin for the Ligier European Series. My name's Johnny Palmer. Bye for now.
And now maybe for the first time, the God Save the King for Great Britain. Eitan Karajuli, your winner, GS2 Air. Guys, trophies, first place on the podium for the pictures. Let's regroup together on the podium, yeah, for the picture, please. Here we go. And if we are ready with the pictures, now it's time for some champagne. No champagne? All right. Thank you, everyone. See you all in Portimao in October. Thank you. Have a great afternoon. It's Spa-Francorchamps.